Number 10. Murderous hairdresser. A man who spent far too much time scrolling for new friends on Facebook as part of a crippling social media addiction met his ultimate end. He was actually killed by his jealous girlfriend who couldn't stand him being so addicted to Facebook that he didn't pay enough attention to her. QL Psycho Music. Our addict in this case is Damon Searson. His girlfriend, Terry Palmer, plunged a bread knife straight into his chest during a mad fit of rage. After the murder, she even posted about what she had done on Facebook. She said that Damon had made her angry by sitting on his phone, completely ignoring her while she was trying to talk to him. Enough was enough. She ended his addiction for him. To be honest though, the relationship was pretty toxic from the start. The couple met at the hair salon where Terry worked. They moved in together shortly after, and they argued pretty much the entire time. Damon was notorious for posting topless mirror selfies on Facebook, which Terry was definitely not a huge fan of. She even texted him one night saying she was crying herself to sleep because he was so mean to her. She also added at the end that she was thinking about stabbing him. It all came to an end about a month after they moved in together. Terry called the police early in the morning on August 14th, claiming that Damon had asked her to throw him a carving knife, but that it accidentally gone straight through his chest. When the cops arrived, it was blatantly clear that he'd been stabbed to death by his jealous girlfriend. She got 12 years behind bars. Number 9. Poking his girlfriend. A man was sent to jail for murdering his friend. The reason behind the killing is so bizarre that you might not even believe it. His name is Scott Humphrey, and he punched someone who was supposed to be his friend, Richard Rivetto, in the head repeatedly in the back of a cab. Scott did it because Richard had poked his girlfriend on Facebook. The nerve. For those who may have forgotten what the poking feature on Facebook was, it was literally just a virtual poke. It was a way to flirt with someone without actually having to do or say anything. You could poke someone, then they can poke you back, and then you would get the conversation going. It wasn't really something you were supposed to do to your friend's girlfriend. During the court proceedings, Scott Humphrey admitted that the argument between the two men came to its peak just as the taxi stopped and dropped them off. The two men climbed out of the taxi. Scott punched Richard in the nose. Then he punched him one more time. The final punch launched him onto the pavement, where he cracked his head and died. And all because Richard couldn't keep his pokes to himself on social media. Well, and also because Scott took pokes on Facebook so seriously that he killed his friend over it. Number 8. Dangerous ranting. A man in Chicago suffered from a pretty severe social media addiction. He was notorious for posting frequent videos filled with nonsensical ranting on his Facebook account. In fact, he had been posting disturbing videos on Facebook for the past 2 years. In some of them, he even wielded a gun and screamed into the camera while driving down the street. He was clearly disturbed, and he let the world know all about his demented thoughts through the friendly, friend-making service we all know and love. Well, 2 years of dangerous ranting turned out to be the precursor of a terrifying killing spree. Jason Nightingale killed 3 people, wounding 4, and then died in a dramatic shootout with the police in a Chicago suburb. It started on the south side of Chicago in a parking garage when Jason shot a complete stranger in the head. He was a student from China, somebody Jason had never met. He then killed a random security guard. Then during his shooting spree, he injured 2 elderly women and a young 15-year-old girl. And according to Chicago Police Superintendent David Brown, a 4th woman took a bullet to the neck while Jason rampaged through the Evanston suburb. In the end, a shootout in a restaurant parking lot left Jason Nightingale dead at the hands of the police. He had no clear motive for his killing rampage. Yet for anyone paying close attention to his virtual life, they may have noticed 2 years of disturbing videos pointing to a case of serious mental illness. Maybe if someone had been watching, the catastrophe could have been avoided. Number 7. The Tinder Strangler. The 6th psychopath who murdered British backpacker Grace Mullane had a prior history of using the Tinder app to meet and brutally attack women. This is definitely one of the more bizarre cases of social media addiction gone wrong, seeing as this killer, Jesse Kempson, was addicted to meeting women off the internet and trying to kill them. Jesse was jailed for 17 years for the murder of Grace in his hotel room back in December of 2018, but he's also been convicted on various other charges relating to other attacks that happened prior. One of them was when he used a knife on his Tinder date back in November of 2016. According to what the identified woman told police, something snapped. He got angry, and he literally held a knife to her throat. After that, he was brought up on charges of assault for violating a woman he went on a date with in April of 2018. In the end, Jesse's insane addiction led him to Grace Mullane, who he brutally murdered just for the thrill of it. Thankfully, he's going to be in jail for the next 20 years, where the only Tinder dates will be with his cellmates. How do you feel about going on your next Tinder date after hearing this terrifying story? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you're liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe button if you haven't already. Number 6. Social media beef. In Texas, a teenager has just been killed in a devastating shooting that police say is all because of a beef on social media. When the police in Houston responded to a shooting on Sharpview Drive, they discovered a 16-year-old girl dead. 2 other victims of the shooting were taken to the hospital, but they were in stable condition. Mareja Pratt was not so lucky. The young girl was a high school student working toward going to college, but a bizarre social media addiction saw her and a group of much older women locked in a fierce rivalry for months. The rivalry ended with 15 bullets fired at the location where Mareja and her 2 friends had gone to engage the people they had been arguing with on the internet for so long. Basically, Mareja and 2 of her friends had been bullied by some other girls on the internet. They were being picked on through Instagram, with these bullies calling Mareja a prostitute and using her own photos to victimize her. But instead of just ignoring it, blocking these terrible people, or maybe putting her phone down for 5 minutes, Mareja cried herself to sleep at night about it. And when things finally got too much to handle, Mareja and her 2 friends went to settle the dispute and squash the beef in real life. But when they showed up, a man and 2 women opened fire on them before running off. Number 5. The Impersonator. A man in Pennsylvania took his disabled girlfriend to Nevada on what she thought was going to be a nice vacation. But as it turned out, there was no vacation. The man killed his girlfriend, then impersonated her on social media for almost 2 whole months. This is John Chapman, 39 years old. According to CNN, he is now facing charges of kidnapping and murder for the death of Jamie Fedden, 33. Jamie suffered from Vader syndrome, meaning she had limited mental capacity and some issues with her vertebrae and other body parts. John Chapman convinced this woman to drive into the desert to participate in a seriously disturbing photo shoot. At the location, Chapman tied Jamie's hands and feet, put duct tape over her nose and mouth, and left her in the desert to suffocate and die. She was found a week later by a family as they pulled over on the side of the road to take a bathroom break. In the meantime, John had been pretending to be Jamie on social media, masking his phone number and communicating with Jamie's family and friends. But he wasn't very good at it. Jamie's friends realized something was wrong in the dialogue. They reported her missing, and the police soon figured out what had happened. But throughout this whole nightmare, no motive ever came out for the killing. John Chapman was just a crazy person addicted to social media. He decided to tie his disabled girlfriend up in the desert, then leave her to die before assuming her identity online. Number 4. Forgetting to make lunch. In Kolkata, a man murdered his wife, allegedly because she was addicted to social media and forgot to make him lunch. The killer's name is Surajit Paul. According to police sources in India, when he returned home from work in the middle of the day on January 24th to have lunch, he discovered his wife, Tumpa Paul, busy on her cell phone. She had gotten so distracted by social media that she completely forgot to make him lunch. The husband was infuriated, not only because there was nothing for him to eat on his lunch break, but also because his wife was glued to her phone, as if the rest of the world didn't exist. Surajit was so angry that he pulled out a knife and threatened her. But his wife wasn't fazed in the slightest. She kept on playing with her phone, fiddling as if he wasn't waving a knife in her face. This was what ultimately pushed him over the edge. In a fit of rage, he hit her on the head with the butt of the knife a few times, then strangled her with a towel. When his rage finally left him and he realized what he had done, he tried to flee his home and escape the city. But Surajit didn't make it very far. The cops arrested him before he could get away. Last we heard, he's being held in police custody while waiting for his court hearing. Number 3. Status change. Edward Richardson killed his wife because she changed her status on Facebook back in 2008. Sarah Richardson was a perfectly ordinary hairdresser, 26 years old, with her whole life in front of her. Her husband was 41 and apparently far more obsessed with social media than she was. He went into a blind rage after seeing that Sarah had changed her status from married to single. Edward then drove to Sarah's parents' house in Staffordshire, UK, and stabbed her until she was dead. He tried to take his own life afterwards, but failed, was apprehended by the police, and stuffed into a cell. A judge handed down a sentence of 17 years for his despicable crime. Number 2. One of these things is not like the other. In order to promote her Instagram account, a woman posed as a student and tried to go to school. Naturally, the 28-year-old Florida native was caught rather quickly. Even the worst teacher is going to recognize a fully grown adult walking through the school halls. And that's exactly what happened. Police were altered to a grown woman named Audrey Nicole Franceschini wandering through American Senior High School in Miami on a Monday morning. She was allegedly handing out flyers to the students with her Instagram account on them. And here's how it was pretty obvious Nicole was born in the early 90s. She was carrying a backpack and a skateboard to try to blend in. Nothing screams 30-year-old like thinking high school kids are still walking around with skateboards under their arm. Nicole was later charged with burglary, interfering with an educational institution, and also resisting a police officer. And as it turned out, she had actually been a police officer, but was let go in 2017. Her mental state had clearly diminished as she became more and more addicted to social media. Then finally, she thought breaking into a high school was the smartest and most effective way to gain followers. Sadly for her, it didn't work. And number 1, we're not getting married. A man decided at the last minute not to marry his fiancée because she said she was on social media too much. The wedding was happening at the bride's home, but the groom never showed up. It was September 5th, and the bride's family was waiting to welcome the groom and his family. But after a few hours passed and he never came, they knew something was wrong. Everyone was there except for him. The day was a complete disaster. The bride's father and the groom's brother finally managed to track the guy down, held up at home in the dark like a goblin. When they asked what was happening, he said he didn't want to marry his fiancée anymore because he was tired of how much time she spent on social media, particularly on WhatsApp. He was worried that if he married her, her social media addiction would just get worse. If that turned out to be the case, he didn't think he could handle it. So, to prevent any future strife, he simply decided not to marry the woman. He opted to leave her alone with her cell phone. We are pretty sure she posted all about it. What's the craziest thing you've ever seen happen because of someone's social media obsession? Let us know about it in the comments, and thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. See you next time.